We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being number 2. You're going to go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, even a third grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become number 4.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Well, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is that not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. This is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. Good evening on the West Coast. Good evening in the mountain. Good evening in the central. Good evening on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the reparationist perspective, bringing you those Freedmen hot topics and making the case for reparations, making the case for weaponizing our vote, socializing our suffering. Thank you so much for being here. I see you, Lucky. I see you, The Rock. I see you, YVOC Info. I thank you guys so very, very much for joining me live. Yes, it's going to be lit today. And for those of you in Twitter space, I saw ETM Media Group earlier, and I guess he got knocked out. Perhaps he'll be back. Just a few housekeeping rules before we get the broadcast rolling on this very, very hot topic. You know, there's so much happening to American freedmen, descendant of U.S. chattel slavery. One can hardly keep up. I see you, Professor Smiles. Thank you for joining the live in Twitter space. Thank you, Racebook. Thank you, ScrewTube. Thank you, Twitter. And thank you, Twitter space, for being here. But yeah, family, we've got so much happening. You often feel like you're in a pressure cooker. It's so much stuff going on to our people and with our people. And we have just got to be on guard for all of it. And so just a couple of housekeeping rules before we get into today's broadcast about whatever happened to the town of Mason and that takeover. And we'll fill you in because some of you may be new to this topic. But down in Mason, Tennessee, they white folks was trying to take it from the black folks after running the city into financial ruin. I'm not going to get too much away because I've got two illustrious guests that are going to make the case along with me, okay? For reparations, for weaponizing the vote, socializing the suffering here. I'm not really sure where they stand on that, but we're absolutely going to find out. So just know this, ScrewTube, I will be back over with you. Now I'm going to try to keep my segment to an hour so that I can get through more of your comments and questions over in the chat for the last hour. And then, of course, Twitter Space is always free to weigh in as the need arises for them, that they actually are able to speak to you and tell you the way they see it and weigh in with their comments and their questions. So without further ado, let me bring up my illustrious guests, Nicole and Consuela. Stand by. They're going to help us unpack whatever happened to Mason, Tennessee. Hi, family. Let me get y'all bigger than, okay, let's try to do this three-way. There we go. That's better. Hi, family. Thank you so much for joining the live.
Yes, Angela, we're glad to be here.
Yes, thank you for inviting us.
Absolutely. So could you please just share with my audience who you are and how you came together as comrades down in Tennessee to get this reparations work done? Go ahead. Whomever wants to go first.
I'll let Nikki start it.
Nicole.
She's the president. She's the president.
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, Nicole, Miss Lady President. Hold on. Is your mic mute?
Am I on mute?
Yes. Oh, now we can hear you.
I just took it off. Go ahead, sis.
Hear me now?
Share with my illustrious audience how you came to the contemporary grassroots reparations movement.
Yes, Angela, as a lot of us started out, we started off with ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery. And we had a chapter here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Can you speak up? It's hard to hear you.
Okay, let me see if I can turn my volume up.
Turn your mic up.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Okay. It's just very low volume. Okay.
Okay, what about?
It's about the same.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it's just low.
Okay, let me get closer.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me better?
It's about the same, but keep going because I don't want to belabor fooling with the mic.
Okay.
Okay. What I was saying is that we have a chapter here in Nashville, Tennessee. We started off like a lot of chapters, ADOS, and kind of ventured off into our own local chapter, which is now called U.S. Descendants of Slavery, which we for reparations, educating people, trying to get the word out, as to why reparations is crucial, educating people about the economic genocide that is going on, mass incarceration, unemployment, the list goes on and on. And we know that the key is to educate people, to get them interested in the movement. And so Consuela and I have been continuing on this fight. And then also, once we heard about Mason, Tennessee, we decided to help the people of Mason fight this tedious fight that's going on right now, where they're trying to take over the comptroller, the government of Tennessee. Jason Mumpower, the comptroller, has tried to take over this city after knowing that after knowing that Ford is coming in and they're going to be building and constructing this electric car company, and it's going to bring billions of dollars to this city. And so we decided, and I won't go into it because I'm going to let Consuela talk as well, and then we'll get a little bit more into it. But that's how we got here.
Yes, I'll pick it up. I've been working with Nikki as activists of U.S. descendants of slavery in Nashville. We came together. We initially met as she stated, as an ADOS chapter members. And so we branched off and started our own organization. And so from there, we became more involved since we're in Nashville with Mason when things happen, because it is a freedman town. And we have to make sure that we are out here understanding that we have to protect what we already have. And so with Mason, we saw it as an really opportunity for us to stand and support our community, our people at this moment, and understanding that Mason is setting on a gold mine. But we'll get more into that and why they definitely want to make sure that they take over Mason. So I'll leave it at that as we get more into the conversation.
Thank you, ladies, so much for introducing yourselves. Yes, I did meet these amazing ladies as co-founders of the former ADOS movement. And as many of you already know, we all kind of went our separate ways after we disagreed with the direction of the ADOS movement. And we ended up reorganizing and restructuring. And it's just so awesome. Nicole got disconnected. I pray she comes back. It's just so awesome that we, were able to reinvent ourselves to keep the fight on. Mm-hmm. And that's been rich. Okay, Nicole, I don't know how she ended up down here. Let me bring her back, add to the screen. Okay. Now, ladies, I'm going to mute my mic because I don't want a whole bunch of feedback. I literally had to put you guys on my Bluetooth speaker so that my Twitter space could hear you because the volume was too low. Not you, Consuela, but Nicole. So the volume is much better now that I put you on the Bluetooth. But in between us talking, if you can mute your mic so there won't be feedback, that would be so very, very helpful. So let me just give you an overview of what I know about Mason, Tennessee. First of all, it's Black owned and operated. Now, I'm not a finance whiz, but it appears to me, based on what I fundamentally know about what happened there in Mason, is that Black folks were running it on the debt of the prior white folks who were running it, who stole a bunch of the money. They stole this money, and then when Ford made plans to bring the solar cars, a solar car plant into the town, that's when white folks decided to try and take their charter based on the debt that they were carrying. And so I'm going to take a breath because that's my understanding. But I know you ladies living in Tennessee know this far more intimately than me and can unpack it for my people in a way that they too can become financial geniuses in just your explanation. So let me mute my mic. Either of you can unmute and weigh in and share with my viewers.
Okay, yes, you're exactly right, Angela. Basically, this is what happened. This city is almost a 200-year Black town, and the founding fathers, one of the founding fathers of this city was John W. Boyd, who was a descendant of slavery. And John W. Boyd pretty much grew this city and was the founding father of this city. This city has always been Black. This city is 98% Black. But however, somewhere along the way, it was ran by a predominantly white board administration. And so while they were running it, they stole what is it, $500,000, close to $500,000, walked off. No one was held accountable. And then when the Black people took the town back over and started trying to pay some of the bills and get it back on track, then all of a sudden, the comptroller, Jason Mumpower, wants to take over the city. And come to find out, they knew that Ford was coming to this city to build this electric car company. So no one was interested in this city being poor. No one was interested in this city not being able to pay their bills. But then all of a sudden, when Ford is coming and they know that this is going to bring this city out of poverty and out of economic despair, then now we want to take over because this city is incompetent and cannot take care of their bills. And so we need to come in and play the parent role and show you all how to do it. And then not only that, but not allow anyone to get any kind of grants, any kind of loans from anywhere else until this debt is paid. And if you do not do this, and this is initially what happened, if you do not do this, we are going to take your charter. And so in Mason, Tennessee, their charter is their strength. They own the water and sewage, which is exactly what Ford wants in order to build this plant. So it was kind of like coming in and what I like to call coming in like the mafia or some gangsters and saying, okay, if you don't give up, we're not going to allow you to do anything until you pay this debt. And if you don't agree if you don't agree to give up your charter. So it's like damned if you do and damned if you don't. But either way, we're going to take over. So this is what happened initially. And so I'll let Consuelo weigh in on that.
So yes, initially with the comptroller, we like to say it's really a hostile takeover, right? So they're kind of taking their hands and bending them where they have no other choice. And in that, we did communicate and engage and interact with some of the individuals in Mason. And in communicating with them, we were attempting to sit down with some of the leaders so that we could also work with them in getting a community benefits agreement together, right? So in the meantime of working with them, the NAACP, I think it was the gentleman by the name of Van Turner, came in and decided, some of the legislatures as well that are a part of the NAACP came together and decided that they would work with Mason in the agreement with the comptroller. And that is where we began to take issue, because once we found out the agreement, a part of the agreement, initially the town of Mason had filed a lawsuit, a discrimination lawsuit against the comptroller and the Tennessee, right? The state of Tennessee. Unfortunately, once the NAACP became involved and the negotiations with Mason, they gave up the leverage, we say the great leverage that they had of giving up the lawsuit and then forming an agreement. And this agreement still did not benefit the town of Mason or the city of Mason. Basically, in the agreement, they got an extension on the repayment of the monies, right, that they did not we're not involved in. However, with that, they also extended their balances of purchases from $100 to $1,000, right? Everything still has to be approved via the comptroller. And now the lawsuit is also off the table. They get an extension of making the payments out until the end of August of this year, 2022. And then they are still responsible for paying off the full amount of the debt. I take issue because I'm thinking, you know what? They have done great work. They have come so far in rectifying the problem. I would have negotiated that is taken care of. That's done, right, for the state of Tennessee. Not only that, I would have made sure, or we would have made sure, right, as reparationists and grassroots movement, that they had a community bargaining agreement, whereas Ford would be responsible for making sure some things, monies, were designated specifically to Mason so that they can build up Mason, right? So we don't even have that as leverage on the table for the town of Mason. So we're basically back at square one. That's how I see it at this moment.
My question to you is, how in the world did the NAACP negotiate away their right to sue the state for trying to come in and steal their charter so that they could gentrify the community and push the freed people out? How in the world, if NAACP is supposed to be working on behalf of the American freedmen descendant of U.S. chattel slavery, which is the nature in which it was born, did they allow themselves to shoot themselves in the foot, and they still are on the hook for $250,000 after white folks done committed suicide after stealing $1 million? Because it was one guy stole $1 million and then committed suicide. So you don't hold any of these white people accountable for when they came into the town and then do what they did to all of our Black Wall Streets, about 50 in total throughout the country. They come in, take it over, rob it like they did the Freedmen's Bank. And then now that Ford's coming in with the electric car company, you mean to tell me the lawyers from NAACP could negotiate better to get that $250,000 debt lifted and to leave their capacity to sue the state available and open to them? Because I don't know where they're going to get $250,000 to pay this thing off. And then what are the consequences and the repercussions? Let me take a breath, because I'm just hotter than fish grease over what you're telling me.
I can read you a quote from Van Turner in an article, and where he states, Van Turner, an attorney representing Mason, who also serves as a Shelby County commissioner and the president of the Memphis NAACP chapter, said Wednesday he believed the deal represented a positive outcome for both Mason and the comptroller's office. Yes, ma'am. That was positive for Mason, as he states, and the comptroller's office. And the comptroller states, by agreeing to change its practices and work with our office, Mason will operate on a balanced budget, work toward correcting its audit findings, and eliminate improper borrowing. Most importantly, if Mason follows this plan, taxpayers can know their leaders are being good stewards of their money. So let's process that.
Yeah, but they wasn't concerned about being good stewards when the white board members and the white administration was stealing money. They wasn't concerned then, but they're concerned now. And you're absolutely right, Angela. Van Turner did nothing for the people. Nothing for the people. Van Turner knew that this state has so many needs. This city of Mason is what you would call a ghost town. The city of Mason has no schools, not even an elementary school, no grocery stores, no fresh food markets, not a library, nothing. We was floored when me and Consuelo was doing our research and working with some of the grassroots people that are working with us. We were floored when we found this out. And Ford came in and gave Mrs. Rivers, which is the mayor, gave her $5,000 for a back to school community outreach program. And the city has not even a school. So how did Van Turner help this city? He did not demand a community benefit agreement from Ford. Ford is the reason for all of this fighting. And Ford has not said anything except for they don't have anything to do with it. And Ford has everything to do with it. They are throwing the rock and hiding their hands. This project is a $5.6 billion project that is coming to this town. And they gave the city of Mason $5,000 for a community outreach program, and there is not even a school. There is, and I'm going to, throw some names out there. Eddie Nolan, who is on the board as alderman. He's an immigrant who owns over half the city, over half the property in the city. He ran a grocery store, and this is according to the people of Mason. He ran a grocery store that was selling bad food, but it got burnt up. And so now there is nowhere for anyone in Mason to grocery shop. So this city is turning almost into a ghost town because everyone that we talk to when we come to Mason to outreach and educate the people, when we come to Mason, no one lives in Mason, directly in Mason. So we're trying to figure out, how does this happen to a functioning city that there is nothing? This is like, what, economic genocide? I mean, we don't even know what to call it. I mean, the list goes on and on. How did this city get in this shape? And so but when you come into the city, is what used to be a prison, but and is now a juvenile detention center. The juvenile detention center is as big as the prison that used to be there. This is the first thing that you see coming into, Angela, this 98% Black city. Talk about the school to prison pipeline. You don't have a school, but you have a juvenile detention center as big as a prison. We came in, there was other organizations that was working with us. As soon as they knew that we was there to educate the people and talk about what was occurring, police officers was riding up and down the street trying to find out what was going on. They was waiting on us to speed or any kind of way they could catch us coming out the city. So this is what's going on. And Van Turner, he needs to be put on blast. And for the people that's listening, call the NAACP, call Van Turner's office and ask him, why was he not working for the people of Mason?
And that's my biggest issue, in the fact that when they took over and not making sure that they advance the needs of Mason, considering that Ford is that project is $5.6 billion. Why not make sure that the town is taken care of exactly, right? And making sure that they have some kind of funding, considering also that they want the water and sewage of Mason, right? There could be so many things that could have been negotiated, but instead, let's take our discrimination lawsuit, which evidently was a slam dunk, right? Take that leverage off the table, and you're still under the thumb of the state of Tennessee and the comptroller. So how is that benefiting the town? How is that benefiting the people? I would have thought there would have been some conversation with Ford at the table as well on how Ford can support in the matter. And then also we're finding out that Mason has been left out of any planning. I think the most recent thing we learned was they were not even at the table for the broadband services that could be developed within their community. While they're fighting the comptroller, there are meetings being held with Ford, and they're not at the table. So I like Nikki's statement. What is it, Nikki? You say if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
If you're not sitting at the table, you're on the menu, and definitely Mason is on the menu. This is definitely an equation for regentrification. Over half of Mason, Tennessee doesn't even own their own homes. You barely have any realtors or people selling property that is Black. I mean, this is a setup for regentrification, and we feel that Ford is right up with this, because as we speak, the governor, the comptroller, the CEO of Ford, all of these people are meeting, and they are leaving the administration, the board, the mayor. They're leaving them out of it. They are not even able to get the what is the Biden's
well, infrastructure
Biden
plan.
money. What?
Biden's infrastructure part of the COVID-19
infrastructure bill. The infrastructure bill. They're not even able to receive it. This government is keeping them from getting anything they really needed. They have we've spoken with the mayor several times, and she's told us that their water system needs repair. They need infrastructure. And so we asked them, why, this big bill that Biden is giving, the infrastructure bill, why can't you get money from that? And it's because they haven't paid off all of their debt, and the comptroller and the governor is keeping them from getting anything coming into the city. Just like Consuela said, the broadband that was offered to everyone in Tipton County, because this is Tipton County, they left them out. The city of Mason has been left out of everything. So this is definitely discrimination. So you tell us how the NAACP helped them out when they know that this debt should have been relieved anyway, because it wasn't their debt to begin with. And another thing too, and I think I kind of skipped over this fact, is that when the administration switched to Black, when Miss Gwen was the mayor of the city, she started fixing the finances and getting the grant money and getting everything back in order. And so they didn't like the fact that they had a competent mayor. And so what they did was they got rid of her and did a hostile takeover and put in who they wanted to put in administration, which is the administration that they have now. And the mayor that they have now, he's Black American, but it's public record. He has been arrested several times for DUIs and driving drunk, being a menace. This is the person that they put in administration. They purposely put an incompetent person in there so that there would be no fight when they tried to take this city over. And of course, I explained about Eddie Nolan, who is the immigrant who is thousands of dollars behind in taxes and own over half the property. So when Ford comes in, he's also going to benefit because he owns over half the property. So whereas they had a competent administration working, she received death threats. She received all kinds of things going on because they did not want to see this city prosper.
This is just too much. You
Right.
know, we are just being, like I said, squeezed from so many different directions. Nikki, if you had not just stayed on me about coming to share with my viewers what was actually going on in Mason, we'd be none the wiser. I don't see any of this in the newspapers, the major lamestream media. It totally came and went, and we were on to the next trauma that we had to try and put a Band-Aid on. Robin Felix, hi Robin, asked, how is Judge Joe Brown involved and what is his plan? Can you respond?
Oh, I think yes. I think she may be responding to on Twitter Spaces. There were some meetings there where Judge Joe Brown was there, and he supported Mason. And he did. I will state we had a meeting with Judge Joe Brown earlier this year. He did come to a church in Memphis, and he was willing to meet with the individuals of Mason. Unfortunately, none of the representatives from the city showed up. However, Judge Joe Brown does have a plan, and his plan is for the city of Memphis, as well as any of the surrounding areas that is majority Black American or Blacks, right? For us to come together and make this more of a Mecca. So from West Tennessee all the way going more into Arkansas. And he is planning to run for the mayor of Memphis. So with that, that's where we were attempting as well to get more people involved. Whether you're in the Memphis area, moving out towards Mason area. And so then we're kind of like gentrifying in our own way, being proactive, right? And so then we can make, in some way, impact Mason and the surrounding areas so that we can continue to build instead of us retract and be gentrified out of our spaces. So that is a part of Judge Joe Brown's plan. And we're in agreement with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, just trying to get people in Tennessee or the Memphis area to vote for Judge Joe Brown and get him in there, because we really need him in there because he is definitely an advocate for us and for Black Americans. And so we're just hoping, that Memphis, Tennessee will get on board, because one of the facts, and I guess, speaking to the audience, is that this whole area is Black. Mason, Tennessee is 98% Black. The cities surrounding it, which is Haywood, Brownsville, Jackson, Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee, and Consuela's right all the way to Arkansas, is majority Black. And yes, this is the potential of being a Black Mecca. You're talking about, Angela, people who are going from making $15 or $16 an hour to $50 or $60 an hour with the Ford company. So this can definitely bring economic prosperity to this whole area of Tennessee, which is the West Tennessee district. And so also what me and Consuela have been doing is reaching out. We went to the school community outreach day. We went to that, and we passed out flyers, trying to organize the people, because this area is so docile and so kind of used to just going along to get along, that no one is organizing. So we spoke to the pastors. The pastors were some of the first people we saw when we got there, and so getting the pastors to allow us to use their spaces, their church, to educate the people and say, hey, don't sell your property. I don't care if it's a little shack with no roof, don't sell your property, because that little shack with no roof is going to be worth so much by the time 2025 comes. And you already have people now that are in there trying to buy up the property so that they can take over and monopolize off of these opportunities. And so what we need people to do is to email Ford, come at Ford, because we are going to make Ford speak out, because they, like I said, they are throwing the rock and hiding their hands. They know that they owe this area more than what they are giving them, $5,000. They need a seat at the table to talk about what is going to happen to their town. They have already renamed this Black descendant of slavery city the Blue Oval City. This does not need to be renamed without the people's opinion. How are you out? When we were riding down the street, we saw signs saying the Blue Oval City. Consuela was like, do you see that? Do you see that? We riding down the street. But they don't have monuments up about George W. Boyd, who was the founding father. They don't have libraries with their ancestry in it, or microfiche that they can look up. Basically, this is erasure. How do you not have a library and monuments of the founding fathers?
And we did see the one, what is it, land memorial for Isaac Hayes, and that is in a different area in the way where you come into the town. So if anyone of people don't know, Isaac Hayes does come from Mason, Tennessee. He was born and raised through Memphis. But I also want to pick back up with the mayoral race election. It's not until next year, so most likely it is going to be during like on the August of 2023. I do know, though, I just looked up, Van Turner is running for mayor of Memphis, you all. Yes, he decided and released on September the 1st. So it only gets worse. So this is what we have to go up against. And Judge Joe Brown will be having to run up against him. And I think it's very important for us to educate our people on how the NAACP at this point in time is not representing nor supporting our communities, that they are not working for our best benefits or with our best benefits in mind, right? They are working against us and helping our enemy to gentrify and to keep us economically excluded. There's no reason why, I'm going to keep harping on this. There's no reason why the NAACP did not sit down at the table, considering Ford is also one of their sponsors most of the times, right? NAACP Image Awards. Now, how is it that Ford is not and NAACP is not sitting down and talking with Ford about a CBA with Mason?
And you're going to see the commercials during the NAACP Image Awards, you're going to see all of those Ford commercials. You're going to see all of the advertising. Yeah, exactly.
Ladies, all I can do is drop my jaw. But I see an opportunity here. And before I weigh in as to what I believe we've got the power to do, I want to ask the Rock's question. What is the Black population in Tennessee? You're on mute, Consuela.
Overall, the Black population in Tennessee, I think it fluctuates, but it's no more than 22 to 27%. So.
In Tennessee. Okay, but in Mason, it's 98%.
Mason is about 72, 75%, something like that. Majority is Black. Yes, Black American.
Okay, well, this is where U.S. DOS, your organization, continues the work. We must get Judge Joe Brown elected. Okay? And that becomes the goal there. You guys have done an amazing job. I'm super, uber duper proud of what you've done to get involved. Thank you for that much. But it is imperative that you guys help Judge Joe Brown prevail in the mayoral election. We need to know how to bless his Cash App. This is the way the grassroots upsets everything. I have shared with my viewers about how I'm not in Tennessee. I'm not in South Carolina District 6, but I support Greg Marcel Dixon to replace Jim Clyburn, who is the whip for the Democrats in the 6th poorest district in the nation out of, I think, 436 districts. And that is twofold. It's definitely, I would love to see him win, but even greater than that to me, when I put my payments on recurring to his campaign, which is coming back in 24, I'm paying to keep the reparations boot on the jugular of the Democratic Party. There is nothing different about what I'm proposing we do from all over the country for Greg Marcel Dixon than I would be proposing for Judge Joe Brown. I'd also wonder if Judge Joe Brown would consider running as a Republican. This is something that you ladies and your newly found chapter should call Judge Joe Brown and have a conversation about that. Because I'm pushing a Friedman protest voter strategy of only voting for closed border and reparations candidates only, party be damned. I'm an independent. I'm imploring upon all of us to defect from the Democrats and become independent so that we can strategize this vote. Because like I've been telling my viewers who are fighting for tangibles, that you've got nothing coming as long as you continue to vote in the interest of your replacement called immigration, to vote for your own ethnogenocide, to vote for your own extinction, because that is what the Democrats have been doing since we changed from the Republican to the Democratic Party for civil rights. So we must weaponize the vote and socialize this suffering. So this is, I'm so glad you ladies came to share with the audience. I don't want us to depart company without, I've been trying to highlight the questions since I've been able to play engineer and not be reading from 5,000 different screens. And that's kept us doing much better with time to have you ladies as my co-host, as my guest. But before we part company, because I don't see anyone with hands up in Twitter space. They're listening, and it's being recorded for those who want to listen in later. I do want to find out from you, and Consuela, if you're able to share in the private chat, the ways to reach Ford, the ways to, so I can memorialize it here in this broadcast in the chat, so that when people, oh, Nicole dropped out again. When people come and listen to the chat after it's rendered in the archives, when they turn the chat on, they'll have the information right there, because this is what we need to do when we're giving calls to action. We need to give them all the tools and tell them what we need for them to do to help in this situation. So with that being said, besides contacting this trader in the NAACP and giving him that blues in all the social media spaces, in the email, calling NAACP, because they literally are sitting up here in one of the links that Nikki shared with me, pretending as if the people of Mason are very satisfied with being on the hook of $250,000, and they don't have any money. And Ford's not offering to help. They're acting as if them negotiating away their right to sue for discrimination against the state is that's well with their soul. That's how they're pretending in that link that I got from Nikki, like it's all good in the neighborhood. And so could you impart to the viewers how much of a liar they are, like how they're just propagandizing and really trying to do a number on the people who are listening into their sessions about this issue and pretending Mason is okay. Can you please share about that, and also share with them ways that we can get active to help? Because the grassroots all over the country has been helping us here in California, and we need to leverage each other in order to get any semblance of justice for the people in Mason. And, you know, divided we fall and united we stand. So we've got to help one another. So if you could please weigh in, I'll mute the mic.
Yes. So we definitely, as far as with Ford, we definitely want to pressure Ford as well, right? Because we know that Ford has the means and Ford is powerful. Not only that, we have supported Ford as Black Americans for how long, right? It's been us that have made Ford what it is today. So we believe that we all, if you can email, you can Twitter. On Twitter, we had a slogan. Nicole had a slogan. She'll tell you about the slogan for Ford, because a Mason needs to be on the board. So we definitely want to pressure Ford in any way possible. I'll put the email in the chat as well. Also, going back to the city of Mason and how they're spreading this propaganda that they're happy with their situation. That is not true. We have spoken to the vice mayor, and which it was explained that she did feel a great deal of pressure, and that she did feel that it was a hostile moment for her, that she did not have any support via the NAACP with finalizing the agreement and the document. We have also heard the mayor in Twitter Spaces state that he was not happy as well with the final agreement. So at this point in time, I don't know why they're speaking as if the people of Mason are happy, because the executive committee was not happy with the final results of signing that agreement. And we did speak on why they felt that it was okay to get rid of the discrimination lawsuit. And that was where the pressure came in to move forward. So We know now how the NAACP works, and I think we need to take it into account that this is what they are doing, and really probably, they have been doing now for the last 20, 30 years. So yes, I think it's a great idea for Judge Joe Brown to run as a Republican. I think he's independent right now. I'm not sure, but go ahead, Nikki. You can take it from here.
I'm sorry, Angela. I lost. I was having some technical difficulties. But yes, my slogan on Twitter is, if Mason can't sit on the board, we don't support Ford. And I started that with the a hashtag on Twitter, and it still stands. We are trying to gather up a petition so that people can sign a petition online, as many people as we can get, to agree to the community benefit agreement for the people, and demand that Ford accommodates. And so this is the only way that we can come at this now, because Consuela is right. They made the NAACP caused Mason, Tennessee to lose their teeth in the fight. And that was dropping the discrimination lawsuit, because out of all of these things that they are doing, and all of these things that we are bringing to the light, they can no longer say it's discrimination. They can no longer say it because they've signed on the dotted line. And we haven't figured out a way to undo it yet.
How about we sue the NAACP?
I like that idea.
I do too.
Yeah, I like that idea.
They are a nationally traded company at this point in time, so that would be, yes.
Because
and we found out
that be called malpractice? Wouldn't it be called malpractice?
Yes. And considering Van Turner is an attorney, I mean, ethics, we could conflict.
I mean, this whole debt should have been relieved. Really, to be honest, Mason, Tennessee should not be on anything right now. The Black Caucus of Nashville, Tennessee, they came in and paid, I think they came in and paid over $100,000 to relieve some of the debt. But even with the Black Caucus of Nashville, Tennessee, because Nashville, here is the capital, even the Black Caucus should have been fighting for more, because their hands are still tied. Basically, the NAACP walked away and said, here, you still in the comptroller's hands. They still own you. They still can tell you, you can lose it tomorrow if you don't pay your debt. And this is going around, Angela, in a lot of small cities. These big car companies are coming because they think that the South is docile. They're trying to come in with no unions because they think the people are not going to say anything. And what they come in with their own people, and the majority immigrants coming in and walk all over Black Americans. And this is what you're seeing right now, is basically stepping over a whole town of people.
But this is what I've been trying to stress when folks are sitting up here telling us that we should migrate back south. Mm-hmm. To me, having numbers doesn't equate to having power. Mm-hmm. They've got the money, so wherever the money flows, there goes the control. Mm-hmm. And so, go ahead.
I think when people say move back down south, we need the voting power, the numbers, because whites are the majority in the South. So if more Black people move down south, we will have the numbers and also some of the money that people will bring from other areas as well. but mainly voting power. You know, that's what we need.
But I will say that the Blue Oval is bringing in another Korean company, SK, right? Innovation, right? So that in itself, they're going to bring in a great deal of people, and they're going to basically relocate in those surrounding areas. So, you know, that's where we're like, you know, we can get people, even if they're in Memphis, that want to maybe already own their home or want to move out and buy some more property, come more out in that area, Mason, where we can go ahead and gentrify the area before they get there. And we have the control and the power and control the narrative, right? Because that's about to happen in the next couple of years.
If not
And I
sooner.
changed that, Angela. I stand to be corrected. The South is not majority white, but we do need more Black people for the vote numbers, because if you look at the South, really, this is where it all started. So a lot of the Black people are still down South, but we've got to change the mentality. We've got to change we're going to vote Democrat no matter who. We've got to change the mentality.
And also,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to correct. Tennessee is only 17% Black, the entire state. But Nashville, there was more Black people.
Yeah.
The state is only 17%.
Yes, I just looked it up. Quick facts for the census.
Which we don't believe the numbers.
No, because they lie about the numbers too.
Exactly.
So,
but as far as Memphis is concerned, Memphis has the numbers, but they're massively incarcerated. They have massively incarcerated so many men in the Memphis area, where basically, there has been no jobs. They have railroaded a lot of our brothers in that area. And really, to be honest, that's where the voting power is. But because so many of the men in that area have been incarcerated from poverty, et cetera, they're not able to vote.
And that was something, yes.
Go ahead.
That was something that we were working on with Judge Joe Brown.
Expungement.
Yes, expungement. What was it, like camps or whatever, where we could have the community, have it set up in the community. They just come in and we're helping them for free to get it done. So then they can take advantage of these opportunities forthcoming in the area.
Right. Because they'll be able to use that against them. Once Ford comes in, they can say, oh, you have a record, you can't get a job. So Judge Joe Brown, I know Robin was asking about Judge Joe Brown. Judge Joe Brown did come in and say that he would help anybody who wants to expunge their record. He was willing to help them.
I think that I gotta mute it. So we basically only have about a year to get this going. Like, to get people relocated back south, they need to be doing that within the year so that they can vote in the upcoming mayoral election to help get Judge Joe Brown elected. That's a lot, family, because it costs a good 10 to 20,000 just to uproot yourself and relocate. And then the challenge is, if they are as discriminatory there in their hiring practices as they are out here in California, you don't know when you can even expect to get a job.
But we were definitely looking, we were attempting to connect with people in the community, and they connect with other people that have moved and potentially can relocate, whether they are working from the home as one. And then two, we have great deal of students in the area that we could also prepare where they could stay in the area and have jobs. So those are some angles that we were working on.
Hassan, did you want to weigh in Twitter space?
I wanted to, I'm sorry about that. I hear we were discussing the voter strategy as far as moving back to the South. So that's one multiple strategy that we need to look at. We can't just look at once we move there and we pass the vote, that's going to change something. We have to have a targeted campaign of the specific needs and talent of the professionals to come there. So that one, they're not looking for a job. Two, they have the money and the ability to take the power when it comes to the corporate interest or the small businesses that are there right now who are monopolizing their rules when it comes to Mason. If we just come there and we just start voting, and we don't control any of these systems that control our votes, that determine who actually wins, then it's to no avail for us to come. We have to be very targeted in who we're asking to come to Mason. We can't just bring anyone. They have to have a skilled profession, preferably maybe in law, maybe in politics. Maybe they are financially self-sufficient where they are able to come in and start a small business. This is not about just our vote. It is more about gaining power. And if we understand the power structure of our politics, it is corporate interest, or in this case, when it comes to Mason, it would be small business power. If you're able, as you were saying, one immigrant owns almost half of Mason, that's because he has money, right? And so money gives him power. We need more of our power players as freedmen to move to these small towns like this and be willing to set up the real structure when it comes to small businesses and when it comes to accessing their legal system, when it comes to positioning themselves to be able to be elected, not because we're depending on the vote, but because we have the power, because we have the money behind us and the business worthiness behind us to be able to take these positions. It cannot just be that we just bring people there and just vote and think that it's going to change, because our elections are constantly stolen from us.
Right.
Because we don't control who essentially calls the vote, who essentially says who has actually won. We are still reliant on them. Until we get power, until we yield power, our vote is not going to matter. Corporate interest has a very, very tight clutch on us. And we need to start looking at that when we're calling for people to relocate on landing.
Thank you so much for weighing in, Hassan. Always bringing the fire. This is one of the leaders in Capital Accountability Project in the DMV. And, you know, I believe we need to have a meeting with her to maybe come up with a plan. Like, we need strategy. She's absolutely right to just have everybody pick up and leave everything they know, and they're not going to contribute to the way the infrastructure is run, to the way things legislatively are run, to the bills. If they don't have the money and the political acumen, they can vote till times get better. And they won't get better because the type of snakes they're up against will just learn how to co-opt the elections to make sure the vote don't even count. So it's not enough just to expunge the records of the brothers. You know, you got to make sure that when they come out, that they don't go back because of the lack of jobs and the lack of resources. It's not enough, you know, they'll just be right back to square one. Okay, guys, let me see. Carolyn Harvey says, I definitely love that slogan. I'll be tweeting that out. Mason on the board. Yes. Well, with that being said, family, let me see if I see any other comments over here. Robin says, Black folk don't report on the census much anyway. I think we're about 30% Black. Most of that is Nashville and Memphis. Memphis is 80%. She also said earlier in the chat, and I wanted to read that. I did post it on the page on the screen. Lord, I think I went right past it. Hold on. She said something really invaluable that I wanted to impart to my other spaces that can't necessarily see us over here in the live. Let me get back to it. And Ford and the comptroller, here it is. Ford and the comptroller knew Ford was coming way back in 2015. They never told the residents nor the mayor and the vice mayor. So, she goes on to say, those white people were buying up that land behind their backs. Did you guys want to weigh in on that?
No, I totally agree. Because we have heard here recently that they're trying to stop people from buying property in Mason, which of course it doesn't stop anything, because to the people that's actually listening, if you want to buy in the surrounding areas, when you talk about Mason, Tennessee, you drive through the city in like 2 minutes. It's that small. So if you want to be, in that area, you can buy a property in Brownsville, Jackson, Memphis, Haywood. I think it's another city, Brighton, Tennessee. There's several little small areas surrounding Mason, because we predict, and me and Consuelo was talking about this, we predict that Mason, Tennessee is going to pretty much grow into the surrounding areas to become bigger anyway.
Yes, and I'm gonna go back to that as far as like Ford and how they have stated. There's an article back in March, and Ford is saying that they are willing to help Mason. But however, we're seeing some different things play out. But in this article, they state they've reached out to state and local community leaders to express concern and learn more. They believe in being a good neighbor and providing inclusive and equitable opportunities for West Tennesseans, including the residents of Mason. So there we have where we have Ford can, with the CBA, I'm okay, harp on the CBA, can make sure that they help and support Mason. And hey, $20 million can do a great deal for Mason, right? We could start there. And I get it where people are saying that individuals need to relocate, must be a part of the government or be interested in the government. Yes, that is something we have discussed. Hence the reason why we were partnering with Judge Joe Brown, so that we could have individuals that make have a mentor or guidance as well, right? With leadership, have some good leadership, someone that is experienced in law, also in city government, federal government, right? And getting more individuals that, let's say they're getting ready for retirement. It'll be great if they could start a business and move out into that area. So, there's so many different ways, as well as with the community benefits agreement. There could be individuals that have a nonprofit that they could expand into the area and receive funding. Okay, so that's where we are kind of going in the CBA, with Ford.
Yes, and we also want to. What we're working on right now is organizing the people in this area. I've reached out to the pastors, and I have had a pastor to reach back out to me. One of the questions, as we was trying to brainstorm on how to get the people involved, one of the questions was, why aren't the pastors involved? why don't they at least have a church school? You know, being that there's no schools there. So just getting the people up, because we can fight all day long, but then they can come back on us and say, well, you're not a Mason resident. So we're trying to get the people of Mason and the people of the surrounding areas involved and getting them active to be able to speak out for their own areas. When we came, we talked to the pastors, we even talked to a bikers club there. That was
Black Swordsman. Shout out to Black
Swordsman. Shout out. And so that is our, main step, not to get people to relocate, but to get the people of the areas to organize and to get angry about what is happening in their own neck of the woods. And so, Ford reached out to give $5,000. What a joke. Mm-hmm. This is a $5.6 billion project. How are you going to offer someone pennies? $5,000 is pennies. But then yet and still, you X them out of sitting on the board to make the decisions. You purposely put an incompetent mayor in place so that you can walk all over him. One of the things that we was trying to do is trying to organize the people to get him out. They need new administration, because if they have the same administration, it's going to crumble.
Yes, and there are concerns about the current administration as well in Mason. Specifically, we do have some individuals in Mason that we believe are strong in their leadership. However, we definitely want to make sure that going forward, there are going to be individuals that are willing to speak up and do some things to keep the city going in a positive way, instead of it getting back into those hands and we having to do this fight all over again, right?
Well, something comes to mind of, pretty much like the elections. Like, I don't know, down there, you're talking about how they really don't have enough Wi-Fi. So it sounds to me like we need flyers and boots on the ground. And I love your strategy with going to talk to the churches. Like, maybe call a town hall meeting of all the churches. And that way you get everybody in the same room and present that way. And then give them flyers and get them actively involved in their own survival. And then share with them about how they cannot sell their properties no matter how hard it gets. Because it clearly must be pretty tough, because you've got this incompetent mayor taking $5,000 for education that doesn't even exist. That's diabolical. And my thing is that vice mayor is pretty sharp. Do you guys think you can work with her to get rid of this particular mayor so she could step up in Mason?
Nikki, you're on mute, but I'm gonna let Nikki answer that because we had an in-depth conversation. Go ahead, Nikki.
No, I was just saying she's actually planning to run. And they are supporting her. The city is supporting her. The city knows that this mayor is not what he's supposed to be. So yes, that is a strategy. There's also another person running who is a former that we heard, which is a younger person. Yes, but that's definitely what has to happen to improve this city. The administration definitely has to change.
So if they cannot pay this $250,000 by
August the 30th was the deadline. The 29th, August the 29th was the deadline.
just passed?
Yes, ma'am.
It just passed.
Oh my God, did they pay it?
We have not received confirmation as of yet, but they had been paying up and was on schedule to be done by the 29th.
Was that based on donation?
No, that was based on them actually making their payments. They had already been ahead of making some of the payments and the balance and decreasing the balance. So that was the plan for them to be done by the 29th. Not sure where they were generating the funds. I think that's just the regular funds that they have coming in. But they were on schedule to complete and pay it off. But yes, we have yet to receive the confirmation that it's done deal.
Robin says, I think the mayor is in it with the comptroller and Ford.
I would not doubt it, okay, because of how everything is has been playing out. Even when we were holding some Twitter spaces and just having meetings, and the fact that no one showed up to meet with Judge Joe Brown. He, of all people, we were anticipating would show up, since he was just not happy with some things that were happening. So,
James goes on to say, I believe the mayor has a backdoor deal. Robin also says the mayor, through all the weight on the vice mayor, as he sat back quietly the whole time. And The Rock said, we need an audit of these bank accounts. That would be the mayor and that Van dude from the NAACP. And I still believe y'all need to find someone that will take on the NAACP and sue them, since the NAACP neutralized Mason's capacity to sue the state on discrimination, which this is all that was. Okay, family. With that being said, I thank you, ladies. I want Son. Okay, she's going to bless the mic. Hold on, guys. Just keep your mics mute while Hassan speaks. Go ahead, Hassan.
I just had a question. Does Mason have a city charter that lays out its bylaws on when elected official is not performing, what that means when you say that they're not performing? How do you hold them accountable? And then how do the constituents remove them? Because just advocating without having some type of paper that governs how you get them removed means nothing. Because as you've all heard now, because of the power structure there, the mayor can be just ousted whenever the comptroller feels like it. So the question is, what does the state charter say? And has the comptroller overstepped its bounds? Has anyone challenged that? Has anyone looked into that? And then what does our city of Mason's bylaws or charter, articles of incorporation as far as its structure, what does that say pertaining to when an elected official is failing to meet the obligations or the needs of that city?
Thank you. If you can mute. Thank you, Hassan. Okay, ladies. I don't know if you heard her. It's kind of tough because they're on my phone as I use the Bluetooth to amp your volume. But basically, Hassan was saying, is there any accountability within the bylaws that can have a mayor that is failing its constituents to have them removed? Does Mason have those kind of bylaws to oust this person?
We do know that the committee or the executive board was not happy with the mayor, and they were taking a vote. We've yet to figure out what they decided. because we haven't been updated. But that was something that was on the table, that many of them were, from what I understand, was galvanizing to take a vote to remove him from the position and go ahead and place vice mayor potentially in the position before she begins to run. However,
Well,
that has not happened yet. Yes.
Well, I believe that needs to be a part of what you bring to the town hall. When you guys go and commission for the huge town hall of all the churches within, the 2 square miles, when y'all bring all of those constituents together, you can use this broadcast as a way to take these talking points and educate them on how to galvanize around their own interest and champion their own interest in this case. Let's see here. James says, this is sickening. How can this be allowed to continue to go on and the mayor just sit back with his hands behind his back as if this is not a grave situation? Well, James, that's why many of us have been saying we believe the mayor is being paid off in the back room. I believe he's receiving far more than $5,000 personally, the way this is lining up. And this is why it's so imperative that we get involved and stay involved politically, because this is happening all over the country. I was going to share another action item with you guys about what they're doing out here in California. And then we're going to talk about the OMB, which Asan is very schooled in, very, very schooled, has thoroughly researched it. Consuela, you can weigh in on that as well as you, Nikki. I'm just glad that so many people, so many contemporary grassroots reparations movements throughout the country understand what's about to happen with race and ethnicity at the federal level, so that we can sound the alarm and move as a block to make sure we're at those hearings to be heard about the grave importance of unflattening Blackness. But in the interim, something else very nefarious is going on out here with the California reparations. There is a bill. Let me see if I can look up the bill, look it up real quick and share my screen. But there is a bill where they're literally, not the task force, mind you, but they are politicizing our reparations movement out here. And what they're trying to do is get it delayed for yet another year beyond 2023, which is when the proposals are due. So let me find Asan. Oh, did she drop out? Oh, goodness. No one can hear me. I had my mic on mute. My apologies, family. What I was sharing with the viewers is that this is happening all over the country, where, we're trying our best to get up off the bottom and not become the permanent bottom caste in the country our ancestors built with their lives. So it's not just happening in Mason, but we've got a call to action out here in California about our reparations bill, because now they're politicizing our reparations and they want to extend the proposals that are due out next year a whole nother year. And so I was going to share with you guys, because just like we needed you to help us get lineage-based reparations, we also need all hands on deck with this call to action to make sure Governor Newsom doesn't sign this particular bill that's designed to undermine our reparations efforts. So far, we've got a 500-page prelim report, but next year the proposals are coming out, and now they're trying to stall And we are definitely out of time out here in the state of California. We're down from 17 to 3% as a result of being legislated about this piece. You're dealing with a national median income of American freedmen, descendants of U.S. chattel slavery, of $43,000. And here in the state of California, the median home price in the state of California is over 800 grand. You literally need to be earning 150,000 or greater in order to even qualify for a loan. Okay, a home loan. So that would mean that nobody that descends from U.S. chattel slavery out here in the state of California will ever be in a financial position to qualify for a home. It's out of control. So I wanted to share with you about this particular bill. And we need a call to action. We need folks to come down on the head of Governor Newsom to guarantee that they will not extend this another year. Oh, thank you, Yvette. Oh, let's see here. I got Happy Earth Strong Day in Power. Oh, thank you, Yvette Colburn, for your Cash App, sister. I greatly appreciate you blessing the reparationist perspective with your gifts. But I want to share with you guys, before I move on to the OMB, and how we need to move as a block on that as well, I want to tell you about this call to action to tell Governor Newsom to veto AB 2296. So let's bring it up so we can read it together and know what we're in opposition of. Hold on one second. AB 2296. Let's try to search and find this particular bill. Here we go. Oh, how convenient. Okay, so it says Assembly Bill number 2296 is an act to amend all these sections of the Business and Professional Code, to amend the Civil Code, to amend. Okay, I'm trying to get to where they want to amend AB 3121, because this doesn't look like it at all, what I just pulled up here. This has nothing to do with our reparations. Let me try putting it in another way. Sometimes they recycle these numbers. Hold on one second. Hassan just shared. Okay, hold on one second. Yes, okay, Hassan, they're calling this 2296. And what I'm trying to intimate is that when I Google the actual Assembly bill, something altogether different is coming up. So while I see this call to action, that's all well and good. If you can find the AB 2296 and read it to us, or, drop it to me in a signal so I can read it, I'd be very, very grateful. So let's go back to the matter at hand. Okay, California bill, Assembly Bill 2296 will extend/delay the California Reparations Task Force for a year, opening the door for politics to interfere with our reparations. So the call to action is to call, and I'll put the number in there to call, press 1, then 6 to leave a message. Okay, Hassan is going to try to find the bill so that we can read it, because it's not coming up for me. You have to leave a message and press 3 after 6, and here's the script. CJEC has given the script. I'd like to make a comment about AB 2296. Maybe I put it in there wrong, family. Let's go back. This is the work. Nope, I put the numbers in there accurately. It's not coming up. Okay, so they put a script here in this call to action that I'm going to share. I'd like to make a comment about AB 2296. I want the governor to veto this bill. I support reparations, but the California Reparations Task Force never asked for and does not need more time. And I don't want politics to get in the way of reparations. Tell the governor to veto AB 2296. Thank you. Okay, it looks like she found it. Okay, so let me read it. Thank you, Hassan. Okay. Task Force to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans. Abstract. Existing law establishes the task force to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans with a special consideration for African Americans who are descendants of persons enslaved in the U.S. Okay, we know what that's about. Okay, so what they're seeking is, all of this was existing law repeals these provisions on July 1, 23. Let me just read it because I'm getting ahead. For those of you who don't know, we are very, very close to getting reparations proposals. But now 2296 has been introduced. I don't see who the author is of this bill. Hassan, if you could find that out for me, I'd be so grateful. But let me go back to the text. Under existing law, the task force consists of 9 members, with 5 members appointed by the governor, 2 members appointed by the president pro tempore of the Senate, and 2 members appointed by the Speaker of the Assembly. Existing law establishes the term of office for members as the life of the task force. Existing law requires the task force to elect a chair and vice chair from among its members, which we selected our pick, Chairwoman Camilla Moore. Dr. Amos Brown is the vice chair. Existing law requires the task force, among other things, to identify, compile, and synthesize the relevant corpus of evidentiary documentation of the institution of slavery that existed within the U.S. and the colonies, as specified, and to recommend the form of compensation that would be awarded, the instrumentalities through which it should be awarded, and who should be eligible for this compensation. Me speaking. That was already decided upon with a 5-4 vote in favor of lineage-based reparations out here in the state of California, because you've got Pan-Africanists who want us to do reparations in the state based on race, when I've already shared with you guys, per the Color of Wealth LA report from 2004 to 2014, African Black was $60,000 liquid to American freedmen descendant of U.S. chattel slavery, $200 liquid. So that part has already been decided. Back to the text. Existing law requires a task force to submit a written report of its findings and recommendations to the legislature within a year of the first meeting of the task force as prescribed. Existing law repeals these provisions on July 1st, 2023. Me speaking. So like I just shared, family, we've already got a 500-page preliminary report, and we're moving with our economists towards proposals for next year. Okay? No one from the task force, according to the task force, requested additional time. But let's read what this bill is all about. This bill would remove the specified term of office for appointees and instead subject the appointees to removal at the pleasure of their appointing authority. The bill would authorize the task force by majority vote to elect officers and create advisory bodies and subcommittees to accomplish its duties. The bill would require the task force to submit at least one report. The bill would place any reports of the task force within the public domain and would provide that the state of California retains no copyright or other proprietary interest in that information. The bill would extend the operation of these provisions as amended by the bill until July 1, 2024. So there's your real red herring. That they want to extend it beyond a year when we are clearly out of time, as the highest rates of homelessness in the state of California, the highest rates of unemployment and underemployment in the state. And it would remove the specified term of office for appointees and instead subject the appointees to removal at their pleasure of their appointing authority. So they would be in control of when they leave the task force. And it would in turn authorize the task force by a majority vote to elect officers and create advisory bodies and subcommittees to accomplish its duties. In effect, what has already been established, they want free reign to undo at their discretion and redo at their discretion. And they want a whole additional year to come up with proposals. And this is problematic because we still have got to get whatever the proposals are through the Senate. That's going to take time for the Senate to weigh in and decide whatever proposals that they're going to approve for the governor to sign into law. Now do you see the dire importance and why we need all hands on deck? Oh my God. So Reginald Jones Sawyer, thank you, proposed this bill. Of course he would. Now, what's problematic about this family? I see it here now, son. I scrolled up. He is the author. What's problematic about this family is that he was one of the four in opposition to lineage-based reparations after Dr. Shirley Weber shared that was the intent of her AB 3121 proposal for reparations for the state. After Dean Chemerinsky came into the task force hearings and said, if you do this by race, it will be shot down. It will go the way of the Black farmers. Wherein Joe Crow has recently rescinded the 15 million of the 9.2 billion earmarked as a part of the COVID debt relief to all farmers. White farmers receiving 6.7 billion. Latino farmers receiving 100 million. Asian farmers receiving 17.6 million. And American freedmen farmers receiving 15 million. Joe Crow has rescinded it. Why? We got a paltry $15 million out of $9.2 billion We're the ones with the worst harms leveled against us, and whites and immigrants filed a lawsuit at the Supreme Federal level to get this shot down because of what? Race. You can no longer sue in this country based on race. You can no longer give entitlement based on race. And had the Black farmers been working with the contemporary reparations grassroots movement, they would have known to put up the gate based on lineage. That's the only way we get anything accomplished. Thank you so much, Hassan. That's the only way we get anything accomplished for our specific group, for the harm specific to us, is to go down the line based on lineage. And look here. This is an American freedman, I do believe. And this is why I constantly teach my viewers that racism and white supremacy and white oppression is Crayola with 3 Ks in this country, including American freedmen. They will sell you out, as you guys are bearing witness to right there in Mason. And so I need all hands on deck to shoot down the efforts of Reginald Byron Jones Sawyer Sr. in his attempt to restructure the task force to his liking, okay, and extend our reparations proposals yet another year that we are out of time. You understand what I'm telling you? So I'm going to post the number and the script in this chat. Hassan, are you able to do that for me? Can you copy and paste so I don't lose my thread trying to toggle and copy and paste? Because you sent me the link on my cell phone, but I need you, if you're able, to share the CJEC post or that Twitter. If you can copy and paste the Twitter, I don't know how to get that picture over here. I don't know how to do that necessarily. If you can please work on that, I'd be so very grateful. Let me see. Hold on. I can't see you guys over in Twitter space because I'm over here reading and doing the most. I hope y'all can still hear me going in. Hassan, did you want to weigh in Twitter space as to why this is so problematic if I left anything out? Okay, she's going to try to copy and paste the call to action that we need all hands on deck in, okay? With that being said, did you ladies want to weigh in?
Yes, I do. You know, the fact that now, well, I do remember he proposed that bill, right? So it actually passed, is what I'm saying. Is that correct? It did not pass as of yet?
It did pass.
Oh,
It passed?
yes, on the 30th of August. Yes, ma'am. It passed. And I was looking at you all, I was looking at who was the majority that voted for this. They were Democrats. You go in and you look at the list of who voted for it. A great deal of the Republicans did not vote for this to happen, you all. I just want to put that out there. Go and look and see who voted yes and who voted no. And the list is strong for the Democrats, and the list for the Republicans is a no. For the majority of the Republicans in those offices or representing.
That's why they're asking for it to be vetoed, because it passed.
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly.
And we have our own once
My
again.
God.
But once again, look at it. We have our own, like you stated, Van Turner in AACP. I don't know this other gentleman out in California. What other organization does he work with? Or who does he represent? He's a senator, right?
Yeah, wait, let me see what his title is. He is, oh Lord, it jumped. I cannot believe this. How did this get past CJAC?
He says this Reginald Byron Jones Sawyer Sr. is Democratic Assembly member in District 59.
How did this get past the task force in CJAC? Hassan. Hassan. This just, oh my God. That's why I didn't even make the correlation or the connection.
I'm not, I can't, I'm not, I sent the information to you so that you could air it on your show. We have to do some back work, but I'm going to leave it there for right now until I coordinate with the rest of the family on that. But if you do the link that I sent you with the information, and if you tap on Reginald Jones Sawyer's, he's the first one that says he's the author. It also gives you a graph. It breaks down how many Democrats voted for it, how many Republicans voted against it. It's very clear and concise. But yeah, it did pass. It says pass all the way through.
And what were the numbers, Hassan? Because, can you just tell me what the numbers were, Democrat to Republican?
Give me a second. So it was 58 yeses from the Democrats. It was 12 no's from the Republican, 1 yes from the Republicans, and 7 other. For unknown, it was 1 no. So the Democrats overwhelmingly voted yes for this measure. And then you can go so far as if you, with the roll call is also there, it tells you each and every Democrat that voted yes, 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 yes. And then it tells you the one Republican that voted yes. So it gives you a breakdown. It shows you the Republicans that voted no as well.
I'm just, I'm speechless.
Yeah, some of this has to be a back channel conversation we can't have here.
Gwen XOXO says 59 Democrats.
But I would like to reiterate what you were saying earlier, and the other speaker was saying that we need to stay cognizant of the fact that the Democrats have never been and are now starkly letting us know they have never been our allies. They have only used us for our vote. And we need to wake up as our ancestors did in our past. We need to pivot quickly from them. They have shown us that all of the Democratic controlled states and cities, even here, Baltimore is now going through a water issue, as with most of our freedmen cities that are democratically controlled. We now have E. coli in our water, and so now they are bottling and giving them bottled water. The Democrats have utterly disrespected us for the past 50 plus years, and that's because we largely continue to vote blue no matter who. Until we stop that and start marrying ourselves to policies specific to benefit the American freedmen, this blue will continue.
Thank you so much, Asan. That's very sobering. That knocks the wind out of me. I remember this bill being originated by Reginald Jones Sawyer. I had no clue it passed. That veto piece just went right over my head. But now we've got to really work and lean in on all the grassroots throughout the country, all hands on deck to get it vetoed. I am so sick of us always playing catch up. We've got so many atrocities being weaponized against us to keep us so distracted and so exhausted, including trying to survive this never-ending Holocaust, that this is just the way they're able to get things accomplished, right behind our backs. And if this isn't yet another point to make the case for my Freedmen protest voter strategy, I don't know what is. Do you see what these Democrats have done? They are literally trying to undo what we've done. This man was absolutely for all races of the black immigrants getting our reparations. And why is that? Because he and the Pan-Africanists know that it's going to fail if it's coined as race-based. We had experts come and tell him this, and they still voted him and the other Pan-Africanists. And Don Tamaki, the only Japanese who received his 20K, he's sitting lovely with his people. They got their reparations, and him and Lisa Holder, Don Tamaki, Lisa Holder, Cheryl Grills, and Reginald Jones Sawyer were a no to lineage-based reparations. And now he's managed to put language in here to take away and have the folks fall back that he's in cahoots with to decimate our reparations claim out here. He's in cahoots with them to put folks in place to get this thing set up for us to never receive the reparations we are long overdue. So this is when it's time to invoke my strategy. Every repugnant clan that voted against this bill should be getting the American freedmen descendant of U.S. chattel slavery vote. They just bought my vote. And we need to unseat these Democrats and put whomever's running against them in office. We just need to give them those votes. Gwen goes on to say, they are trying to play us like they've been playing us. This is pathetic. These black people voted for him, and this is what they do after you vote Democrat. It's disgusting. Root Tracker says, I couldn't believe Grills. Yes, she's Pan-Africanist. She sits on the board of NARC. Family, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. The last thing I want to mention as I try to pick up my heart and put it back in my chest, that's that Pan-Africanism doing things completely out of order. Reginald Jones Sawyer is one of us, family. Pan-Africanism is an exclusive American freedman descendant of U.S. chattel slavery thing. And you got the niggerati that's running on our behalf. I see you laughing, Consuelo. You got the niggerati working in tandem with the black immigrants who are, like I shared back in 2004, 2014, 333% more liquid than U.S. black. We were 44% degreed at the time to black immigrant, African black, 56% degreed. Our median income at the time was $53,500. Theirs was $140,000. 15,000. Now we in 22. Our national median income is 43K. Can you only imagine what the African immigrants' national median income is nationwide in the state of California? They largely descend from the slave traders. Gwen goes on to say, they're trying their best to replace us. Bottom line, bottom freaking line. Not just replace us. Joe Crow has asked Congress for $37 billion more for more Glacier Donkey Race soldiers to come into our community and continue to execute us by state sanction. And our people keep sheep walking to the polls and keep voting based on what the person's color of their skin. When I keep stressing that white supremacist is Crayola in this country, including American freedmen. Did you ladies want to weigh in before I have you, Consuela, and Hassan talk about the upcoming OMB?
I just want to say that we are living real-time ethnocide genocide, right? With what's happening. And our people have got to see that we're being left out economically and everything. And then we have people that supposedly represent us, but we're living right now taxation without representation. And we as Americans, we have to stand up. And being here and having this lineage here and having our ancestors build this country and develop and advance this civilization that now everybody is coming here to take advantage of, except for us, the real Americans that should be at the top tier. We should not be at the bottom, period. So, excuse me, I'm all for getting rid of the birthright citizenship, implementing some more immigration moratorium, as well as moving forward with immigration reform with Barbara Jordan's plan that she left. The great ancestor has already left us with a blueprint. We can just get someone to go ahead and put it in action, maybe team up with the Republicans and let them know, hey, we got a policy right here. We can move on that and move forward. And that's what I want to say.
Thank you for weighing in. Since not only are they seeking to replace us and ethnocide us, they really want to neutralize our vote. They're constantly blaming the repugnant clans for gerrymandering and redistricting and the like, while pointing the finger at the repugnant clan. 4 fingers are pointing back to the Democrats, because it is their intent to neutralize our vote by flooding the country with illegals and giving them access to citizenship. I just did a broadcast yesterday where I talked about how over the course of 20 years, Citigroup reports that the U.S. and its racism cost the economy $16 trillion. And yet, the Democrats are boasting that in the course of 10 years, they can add another $1.7 trillion to the U.S. economy if only we can get behind them to give citizenship to the illegals. That's what's happening, family. Oh, Lord, we got work to do. Okay, family, so let me... go ahead, Nicole. Did you want to weigh in?
I couldn't come off mute. I'm sorry. Yes, I was just nodding my head because I'm thinking if this doesn't persuade you not to vote Democrat, I don't know what will. I don't understand. You know, we've been preaching this for a minute, and everything that we've been saying about voted Democrat and has come to the light, so I agree with you, Angela, about persuading our candidates, our politicians, to start to cross over to Republican. I think that's a great idea. I've been saying that for a minute, that we just need to get away from the Democrats, period. We just need to get away. Even our Black politicians who are still running Democrat, just get away and just start running as something else. And if we got to go to the Republicans, then that's what we got to do. We have so many fights. As you were saying, we got so many oppressions that we have to fight. And so I would just encourage the audience to jump on your passion and get to work, because this is what it's all about, is pointing it out, educating the people, and get to work. If your passion is helping the massively incarcerated and getting them employed and expunge your records, if that is your passion, jump on that passion. The school to prison pipeline, policy, whatever your passion is, just get to work. And I'll land on that.
Thank you so much for sharing. Asan, did you want to weigh in? I saw your hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on what everyone has been saying. This was a clear example that we definitely need to pivot away from the Democrats. The problem is that we don't realize that we are in an echo chamber right now. We have to break out of the echo chamber, and we have to get boots on the ground. We have to start a targeted campaign for us to seek out these baby boomers and seek out our millennials, our Gen Xers, and our Gen Zers. We have to seek them out, and we have to educate them. We are aware of what just happened to AB 3121. We are aware of Mason. We are aware of it because we all live in this echo chamber of advocating for American freedom. The larger population of us are not aware of it. For each and every one of us that can communicate or hear from Twitter and from YouTube and all the other social media outlets, you need to take onus on you. You have the information, and you have to get up, go out into your communities, come off of the internet, come off of all the Twitter spaces, and really do the groundwork. If we're going to change this, it will not happen via social media only. We all know that the largest portion of our baby boomers do not play with social media. They are afraid of even coming here. So our little group here can go and vote Republican, and the Democrats are still going to win until each and every one of us say to ourselves, I am holding myself responsible for getting up, leaving the television, leaving social media, leaving my cell phone. I'm going to get up, I'm going to create a flyer, I'm going to go into a specific area, whether it's a college, whether it's a community center, whether it's the basketball court where the young men are playing. But I'm going to go in there, I'm going to go to the senior citizens' homes where they are, and I'm going to educate them on why it is essential and of the greatest importance that they stop voting democratically. Until we do that, come the 2024 election, we're going to be sitting here again holding our heads saying, my God, how did this happen? We have got to take more responsibility, come off of social media and come back into the reality world. It's heavy out here, and it's very hard for those of us who are actually out here on the physical ground doing the work. And I tell you, from doing this since 2004, you're lucky if you get 3 people who will still stand with you and actually come out here with boots on the ground. We're not going to change anything until we get out from behind our phones, our TVs, and the social media and do the work for real. I'll land my plane.
Thank you so much for that, Hassan. You're absolutely correct. Consuela, we're like at 8:12. Could you share with us about the OMB? And Hassan, be on standby to weigh in. We want to start promoting what's going on with race and ethnicity as another call to action to get the people engaged.
Yes. So the OMB, which is the Office of Management and Budget, has announced that they will be launching new public listening sessions on federal race and ethnicity standards and the revisions of it. So we have the opportunity to actually be a part of the process and make an impact in stating how we want minimum reporting categories to be changed. So this is our opportunity to state that we want to be recognized as freedmen, also include Negro. I know some of us are upset about Negro being replaced or removed. This is our opportunity to speak on that. Also, they are asking wording, terminology, anything along those lines, and whether the guidance for collection and reporting of the race can be improved, or of the data, if it can be improved, including self-identification when people claim it is not possible. So here we have the opportunity to actually engage with the federal government on making sure that we are disaggregating and delineating from the rest of the immigrant population. And our opportunity to state that we are not BIPOC or POC. We are a distinct, unique ethnic group in America, and we are first and foremost Americans. So I hope everyone takes on that challenge. If you want to be a part of, I've already scheduled, I haven't received my official confirmation date. They are giving us 30 minutes to speak. You can come as a group or you can come alone. However, what I'm doing is inviting anyone and everyone to join me since I already have confirmation. And then we can set the 30 minutes. You want to speak 5 minutes. Someone want to give a presentation for 10 minutes. Whatever you like. We're just trying to get as many people in the listening sessions and to help make sure our voices are heard. So, and that vibration is out there. I'll leave it there.
And can you share with them the dates?
Yes, from my email that I received, some of the dates are starting September the 15th, October the 27th. Wait a minute, let me make sure of the dates that I received. They are September the 15th, September the 29th, October the 13th, October the 27th, November the 10th, November the 21st, December the 7th, and December the 15th. Now, of course, I've coordinated with Nikki, my partner, and so we've already established 3 dates for us that could be possible to present: October the 27th, November the 10th, and November the 21st. So those are the 3 dates that we have decided on to present to the OMB.
Thank you so much for that information. Hassan, did you want to weigh in? Yes, please weigh in. There was something else to this whole thing that I had in my mind, and it just fled from me just that fast. Go ahead, Hassan.
So we too have registered to host the listening sessions. All of the dates are on Thursdays, starting with September 15th. We are creating a coordinated effort with other grassroots organizations across social media as well as in our localities. We just had a group meeting this past Sunday. We're expected to have another group meeting this upcoming Sunday to further discuss it. The OMB is connected to the Chief Financial Office of the federal government, which is the CFO. If you read the announcement that has been circulating now throughout social media space as to how you can register, if you click on that, you will see that they are connected. The reason why it is so important that we participate in this and that we are on the same page and that we understand exactly what they're looking for. They're not going to be there for a whole lot of discussion. They have made that very clear to those of us who have met with them, and those of us who have been behind the scenes working. They are clear and specific on two things that they're looking for: race and then the ethnic group. We have requested to add political status. What we are proposing and the finalization and a full definition of American freedmen will hopefully be released on Sunday. Is that we are proposing because the United States recognizes us currently as it relates to race, and race is not off of the books. Meaning, we can't say, well, you know what, we just want to move away from race. That's not what they're offering us. That's not what they're going to try to say about. Reality is, race is a social construct. We know that. We know that the United States is going to continue to perpetuate the race issue. So, African American and Black are the two race identifiers that the United States uses to identify Blackness as it pertains to us. In the larger meeting that we had that covered most of the national leadership, a lot of people pushed back against African American for obvious reasons. And so the idea is that we were going to move with, but it has not been completely voted on. The idea is that we were going to move forward with Black as race. Ethnic group would be American freedmen, and then our political status based on the legislation that was passed for us after the Civil War and through the emancipation, and through Reconstruction, would be freedmen. We know that freedmen is the political identifier that was given to us based on Field Order 15, based on everything when it comes to our lineage. We have the Freedmen Hospitals, the Freedmen's Bureau, and etc. If you go to Congress.gov or Library of Congress.gov, you're going to find freedmen as our political status. The reason why we separated our ethnic group to be American freedmen was to be very specific in what freedmen we were identifying as. We wanted to make sure that as we move forward in our political fight for our full reparative justice, that we did not mix the two, freedmen and American freedmen, because we know how this government plays games, and later they will try to pull in and say, freedmen, American freedmen is identifying them as race. So no, you can't use that now to argue for reparative justice because it's racially based. That's why we separated into three different ones. Now, understand that the OMB is not breaking out subcategories as it pertains to that. What is breaking out subcategories, though, is the Census Bureau. The Census Bureau, if you're not aware, also currently is taking public input for how they should move forward for the 2030 census. And that public input closes November 15, 2022. I think I sent the link to you, Angela, so if you have the link, then you can repost it. But everyone can either send an email to the Census Bureau through this link, and you can weigh into how you would like or what you would like to see on the 2030 census, or you can also click that same link and you can submit your petition or your comment directly to them without having to make a personal email. You can fill in the form and then you can put in your comment and it will be taken. But please understand that the Census Bureau has been quiet about making theirs public. And so this is information I just came across the other day while I was researching the OMB. The Census Bureau is the bureau that allows you to self-disclose your identity. So you can identify however way you want to. The OMB sets the standards for the Census Bureau, but now the Census Bureau has lost a lot of this validity because you can just identify any kind of way you want. It's not regulated. The OMB, though, is basically in this way, they are the head honchos because you're not able to define yourself with them. So that was that. So the other thing that we wanted to share was we know that a lot of us identify different ways in our personal spaces, and that is to be respected to each person and how they feel. But what we're asking is that everyone consider that through our history, they have purposely changed our identity for us to lose it and for us not to be able to have a true justice claim. That's why they removed the ability for us to argue any of our claims based on race. That's why they purposely did that, so that we would not be able to do that and we would not agree to identify because it would like to cause chaos. So what we're asking people to do is please identify any way that you are comfortable in your home. But when it comes to our political fight, all we can do is beg our people, the American freedmen, to recognize that our political status is freedmen, and that we all need to stand on that together so that we can achieve the ultimate goal of the reparative justice, which is a full reparations package that encompasses all of the years and the traumas that we have suffered. We cannot fight with the government to give us a whole new identifier again politically. It's a waste of time. It's a lot of work, and it's going to drag out for another 400 years. If we just move with what is already legislatively recognized for us, we are in a better position now than ever to accomplish what our ancestors have fought so hard to accomplish for us. And I think that was all that we had to offer. So I thank everyone. Thank you, Angela, for giving me the opportunity to share that. We will also keep you all updated. You can go to captaskforce.org or link up with the Reparations Perspective, and we will be feeding the information through her. We will also be co-hosting our listening sessions through the Reparations Perspective. So our goal is to encourage as many people as possible to register for listening sessions, but please, let's try to get on the same page for this one win. We got one shot at this. I hope everyone understands that the OMB typically does this type of evaluation every 20 years. They have sped it up 11 years for a reason. Some of us know that reason. Some of us know the work that has been done behind the scenes that has caused this to come forward now. And what we're asking our group to do is please lay down all the arguing and fighting and understand our political status matters here for our win. Freedmen must be recognized as our political status. And however way you want to identify personally, that's cool. We're all family at the end of the day. But as family, we are tired of losing collectively. It is time to win collectively. And we're asking everyone to please embrace that and recognize it. And I land my plane.
Son, thank you for that. That was just rich. I pray that you don't mind me putting you to work to please, please, please put the link for that November 15th census deadline for us to weigh in on how we want to be identified. That way, it'll be in memorial in this particular broadcast, of which I'm going to reach out to ETM Media Group to actually isolate this latter half of our time together about Mason, because the title is pretty ambiguous in as much as we've been able to uncover and unpack this evening. So if you could put that in the chat, I'd be so grateful to you while I prepare to pray us out. I'm not going to do so until I see that link. Can I count on you to do that?
Yeah, give me a second to pull it back up.
Okay, thank you, dear. I appreciate you so much for helping me out. I see Satra Salary 36. Hold on one second. Satra, did you want to bless the mic, sis, while Asan fishes out the link so she can share it in the thread?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to speak. I mainly had a question. I guess one, if she could put it in the Jumbotron as well as in your YouTube chat. But also, I've just come across information like this for the quote-unquote Hispanics during the Nixon administration. It was the Puerto Ricans, the Mexicans, and the Cubans wanted to be counted as on the census and, you know, get funding and all of that. And their groups got Nixon to do the whole Hispanic. That's how Hispanic came about, and just lump them into whole one group. So I guess my question would be, I know she's asking us what to do, but are there any other, I guess, organizations that have connections to the administration that will be pushing this as well as like those Latino organizations push to get it on the, I think it was their early maybe the late 1970s. No, the early 1970s that they got the Hispanic put on the census for them. That was my question.
Go ahead, Hassan.
So to answer your question, yes, at the national level, when I say national level, the NAASD and others of the national level grassroots organizers have met. We will be meeting again. We're scheduled to meet on Sunday. Okay, and we will continue to meet up until that point so that we can get everything aligned the way we hope that it will fall. Our ultimate goal is to have us all on the same page, and we should be able to issue something coming out of that meeting on Sunday so that anyone who has requested to have a listening session will know what to say for their 30 minutes if they get it. The other thing about the OMB is that they're going to be screening, looking to see when you submit for your listening session, what you're saying. And if they deem that you are in line with other organizations, they may lump us all together. As though we're encouraging people to think about that, so that they don't try to prepare a full 30-minute presentation. If you can imagine, this is for the entire country. So if every person in the entire country asked for 30 minutes, it would never get through. And so, yeah, we're asking everyone to just give us a moment. Again, you can certainly check with the Reparations perspective. I'm sure that she will keep everything updated, as well as on Twitter. You can find us at CAP Task Force, and on Facebook at CAP Task Force. So we will be posting it along with other organizations. The NAASD, I think Be the Power will also be posting it. CBAC, which is Concerned Black Citizens, and multiple other grassroots organizers. But to answer your question, yes, we all are trying to make sure that we take advantage of this as best as we can, and that it's a coordinated effort.
Son, if you could speak to, and I see you, the company, I'm coming to you, beloved. Son, if you could please speak to why it's imperative for us to show up in record number at the upcoming OMB and to get the delineation on the census, because this is about resources that we're being denied as 84% of the Blacks in this country. Could you speak a little on that, please?
So since we know that the United States as a whole tries to pretend like it does nothing based on race any longer, the only thing that we are identified as here is based on race. We have never been recognized with as it relates to any ethnic group. Right? So the Chief Financial Office, which is the CFO, they are the ones who essentially hand out money based on the data that the federal government collects to the ethnic groups and how they are doing based on their data. But this OMB meeting is very, very important for us because it will actually be a direct channel for the people of our specific lineage to now be able to receive money in behalf of our ethnic group, not our race. So that's the biggest chunk of this, is understanding that the OMB, unlike the Census Bureau, is connected directly with the Chief Financial Office of the federal government, which administers the funds specifically based on the data of how specific ethnic groups are doing. So that means all of our 501(c)(3)s that are connected to us would be able to access funding now based on the delineation of our race, of our lineage and our ethnic group versus all Black people in the United States.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, the company. Bless the mic, beloved.
Thank you. I was just asking if anyone knew when this next meeting in LA was.
The next meeting in LA, are you talking about NASD LA or what? Oh, you're talking about the Reparations Task Force meetings?
Yeah, and the location.
Well, I know that the task force meetings are going to be live on the 23rd and the 24th here in Los Angeles. That's another thing we need to paper the town and have standing room only spilling out to the streets to absolutely go upside Reginald Jones Sawyer's head about the nefarious way he moved to undermine us getting reparations next year. He has delayed that yet another year, and we need all hands on deck. So that's the 23rd and the 24th. I have to get the information and post it in the chat, and I will get that for you guys so that it'll be living in memorial over here in this particular thread. Like I mentioned, I'm going to work with some of my techies to actually isolate the second half, the bottom half of this very, very rich exchange with Nicole and Consuela regarding the nefariousness of the Mason, Tennessee, and how Ford and the mayor and the comptroller are all complicit in gentrifying us out of Mason so that we won't have access to those $60 an hour jobs that are coming down there through that Ford electrical car company. So I'm going to definitely reach out to them so they can help me isolate and make it like it'll stay here, but it'll be isolated with its own title so more people will be drawn to it for these very important calls to action. Go ahead, Nicole. You want to bless the mic before I pray us out?
Oh, yes, I did, Angela. I just wanted to say to the people listening to take action by flooding the email of the comptroller and the governor, letting them know that Mason needs to be on the board and they need to be participating in what is going to be occurring in their city. And then also, I want to give my information out to anyone who wants to get into the Mason fight. You can email me at USDOS, that's USDOS Tennessee @gmail.com. I'm on Clubhouse as Nikki C, and I'm also on Twitter as Nikki C. So if you want to inbox me, that would be perfectly fine. If you're in the Nashville area and you want to join U.S. Descendants of Slavery of Tennessee, we welcome you aboard. Contact me. And I'll also, Consuela, did you want to give your information as well?
Sure. I can be reached at Goddess. You can just my personal email, Goddess, GODDESSH well @gmail.com. I can be reached there. And also, if you feel the need, you can text me on my line 754-300-7591. And so I will connect with you. We are attempting to get a newsletter or get a letter together so we can keep people involved in the area and what's happening. So once again, you can email me or text me.
754-300-7591. And this is not your personal
number. That is, yeah, that's a connection number. So I can connect with people. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
300-7591.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, ladies, this has been rich. I want to thank you guys so very much. I want to thank you, ScrewTube. Thank you, Twitter. Thank you, Facebook. Oh, Hassan has something more to add. Go ahead, bless the mic.
I just wanted to let everyone know that I posted the live link in the Jumbotron, and I posted it in Twitter. I don't know if it's a live link. I mean, not Twitter. I did post it in Twitter, but I also posted it in the YouTube. I don't know if it's a live link in the YouTube chat, though, but it is on the Twitter now, and it is up in the Jumbotron for the Census Bureau for you to be able to take the survey and weigh in.
Okay, for some reason, it's not over in ScrewTube. I don't see it.
It was nice being in space. I gotta take off. And,
thank you, the company. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Thank you, the company. Good night. Go ahead, Hassan. Did you can you paste it in this chat while I still have it open? I'd be so grateful. I've got everything rigged in such a way that I'm concerned about trying to jump and find different things in different places where I'm streaming live. I don't want to drop anything until I play the closing music and pray us out. In the meantime, I hope she's doing that. In the meantime, ladies, I can't thank you enough for being here. I want you guys to reach out to me. You guys have my Gmail, and Nikki, you're free to share my number with Consuela. But I think it's imperative for all the grassroots tuning in, now and later. It is imperative that
But you need Twitter again?
I can't go into Twitter because I'm streaming live. I was asking if you can come and post it in ScrewTube, then I can highlight it. It can be in the chat thread. Can you do that for me while I prep to close out the broadcast? I can't move. It's too sensitive the way I've got things set up. But anyway, family, it's important that we move as a block. And so it's going to be imperative to bring in all the grassroots who are interested in making sure we're on the same page at the OMB hearings, which are going on for 4 months. And so we each of our chapters can coordinate to have 30 minutes apiece for 3 days, because you get 30 minutes 3 of the 4 times that they're meeting. So we can just weaponize the contemporary reparations grassroots movement to really bring the attention to what we seek to do here with respect to disaggregating data, which Hassan, just threw all the way down as to its dire importance that we unflatten Blackness, especially given the most recent nefarious move on the part of Reginald Jones Sawyer, member of the task force here in California, how he has coordinated to get 59 Democrats to delay our much needed reparations and set the stage to even change who is actually sitting on that task force. That could hurt us in a major way if he gets a bunch of Pan-Africanists over there to undo what we've done in terms of lineage-based repair. So that's why I need for us to coordinate and do this together. So thank you for being here. With that being said, did you guys have any closing words before I pray us out, or you're good? You're good? What about you, Nick?
Tell everyone, don't vote for Van Turner.
Don't vote for Van Turner, and we need scripting, and we need to know how to see when you give calls to action. You saw how CJ did theirs, but you don't see it here. But I'm going to try to post it here after the live renders. He's got a whole little meme. He's got the number, the extensions, and he's got a script built into that call to action. All y'all got to do is wash, rinse, repeat. When it comes to the actions for the people at the town halls that you're going to host, when it comes to the social media spaces, you can't just send the people to their own devices to make up a script. They don't know what to say. And so oftentimes they won't call at all. So it's imperative, and I'm going to send it to you, ladies, what CJEC put together. Because this is the way NASD and CJEC move and get things done. Along with CAP, they do the same thing. They give you all the tools, and they make it very simple and very streamlined so that more people will participate. And with that being said, family, I guess I'm going to have to come back in here and post it because I don't see it from a son, but I do want to share.
Miss Angela, I did post it in the private chat. So there's a link there. Okay.
Okay, hold on. Let me find it so I can post it here. Oh, the Census Gov, is that the one?
Yes, ma'am. Census News, Census Gov, newsroom press releases, designing census. It's a link.
Oh, Lord, there's so many links. Let me just, it's Nikki C. I spelled it wrong. Thank you, Robin. Okay, Hassan, Consuela put it over here in my private chat. Let me continue to copy and paste. Oh, Lord, you got so much stuff over here. It's beautiful, but I don't know where I left off. Did I put that one?
The last one. I just posted. It's the very last one after my information. Nikki and information.
Let me go ahead and copy that. Okay, I'm posting it now. Send that. Guys, get on these action items. Y'all got work to do. This is the work of the movement. It takes cat naps. Let me go back over here and pick up your very succinct share of how to reach you. Hold on. Yeah, guys, Consuela and a son have been busy sharing, and I'm sharing everything they've given me over here in the comments so you guys will have access to it all. Copy. I'm just going to go through and paste everything. Oh, Lord. Uh-oh, that's wrong. There's an M there. Oh, Lord, why does it keep doing that? Check your signal for the direct link. It's okay, Hassan, I can't. I really cannot move from what I'm doing the way I've got this broadcast rigged. But I'm getting it from Consuelo. She is posting a lot of important things in the chat, and I'm just copying and pasting from the private chat to share it in the general chat. That's what I'm going through and doing now. So we don't miss any of it. Comments. Paste. Because people will be looking at these archives later, and this is the easiest way when they turn on the chat to get access to everything we've shared. Okay, you said if you have any information on any of these individuals, please report to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
Van Turner, Jason Mumford, anyone that you receive, Mr. Newman, anyone that you get any other information, and it's dealing with Mason and what's happening with Mason at this present point in time, we are definitely using the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations via the advice of Judge Joe Brown, because he is adamant that they will investigate these individuals if they are fraudulent or doing anything in the government that is against the law.
Thank you for sharing. And Gwen XOXO says, I'm not scared of work. Give it to me, because I work like the devil as well. That's something that Joe Crow is constantly trying to give the immigrants credit. After we were the shoes, after our ancestors built the wealth these immigrants eat from, including our current taxation without representation. They don't pull themselves up by their bootless straps like we are required to do. So don't believe the hype. They get serious handouts when they come to this country, and I'll do another broadcast another day to share with you how well off they become when they come here with the help of the reparations that are owed to us and our tax dollars. And with that being said, family, I just want to thank each and every one of you for hanging in with us practically 3 hours. Oh, child, Lord have mercy, the ghetto. I want to thank you so much for rolling with your sisters. I want to thank you so much, Twitter Space, for your contribution to today's broadcast. As always, it was super rich. I want to thank you, co-host in the ScrewTube chat, for keeping it lit. I want to thank you so much because you always bring that smoke, bring the heat, bring the fire. I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you, Facebook, for tuning in. I want to thank you, Twitter, for tuning in the chats that are going on in those spaces. I want to just share with you and pray us out, family. Before I let you go, I got to put a covering over you for my peace of mind that the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever Freedmen and its allies are. Woo! Hold on, guys. I got to turn that down. Wherever Freedmen and its allies are, God truly is, because family, you are the face of God. Yes, you are, family. You're the voice of God. You are absolutely the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. How do you think we do what we do? Know this, family, if no one has told you this today, I want you to understand that I love you, Black, and I love you oh so strong. Yes, I do. And until we meet again tomorrow for more edutainment, for more weaponization of current events, I want you to make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your evening, family. Let's see if that's better. Okay, I'm going to turn it up a little bit now. Here we go. Yes, family. And until tomorrow, I'm believing for each and every one of us. Sorry, this closing is so choppy. A ton of peace, love, and reparations. Thank you. Thank you. I like my closing. Thank you, ETM Media Group, for that fire closing and that fire intro. Peace. I'm out.